to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
Sometimes you have to be a bitch to get things done.
And Dale Hummel.
Are the Republicans truly a threat to democracy?
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello.
Before we get too far into the political discussion, I'd like to...
Not talking about politics. I hate America.
Even if we don't talk about it, I want to inform our listeners that we are recording Tuesday morning, the morning after midterms.
That would be Wednesday morning, Dale.
Wednesday. And this does not drop until Friday. So what we say today, maybe it'll just change between now and Friday.
No, there is no changing.
Well, Ryan, welcome to the reality. You go whatever direction you'd like.
I don't want to talk about it. I hate America currently.
I can visit a little bit about it.
I'm going to talk about things that I think are funny. So I'm going to start with Charlie Christ in Florida. This man has ran for governor of Florida as a Republican, as an independent, and a Democrat, and he lost all three times.
Yeah, I don't think he's a real strong candidate.
I think he probably needs to quit. Beto is a three-time loser. And to that idiot on my Facebook last night that said my post was inappropriate because I need to think about the children I beat in shows. Yeah, dude, you can just go jump off a bridge for real. Like,
I did not get a chance to look at this one. Can you?
Seriously, go jump off a bridge. I'm not joking. Politics and stock shows are two completely different worlds. Has nothing to do with any. Like, you were lucky I just did not blow you sky high because I was more invested in the electoral. Beto sucks. He's a three-time loser. He needs to go away. And Stacey Abrams,
I don't believe that to be his real name either. I'd heard something about that confused.
It's Francis is his first name.
I thought it was like Robert Francis or something.
It's Robert Francis O'Rourke.
But not instead of that, it's just Beta.
I don't know how he got Beto, but anyway. And Stacey Abrams, so now she has lost twice, and she lost convincingly this time. So convincingly, she actually conceded. Okay, we're done talking about the election. I'm done. Thank you.
She did not try to say it was an election.
No, she conceded. She called it. Okay, that's it. Let's move on. Next.
No, I've got a couple things. I think that it's clear where I would like to be in this country, or I'd like our politics.
Dale, you did not pay attention to anything midterms. You did not watch the midterm results. You do not get to talk. Nope.
Ryan, I think you've gone back into your bubble. You forget that some of us cannot spend all day watching politics and judging shows. Cannot. I watched enough. I did take a little nap in between. It's a little tired last night. But I believe that there's a message out there that I do not understand how it resonated, because when I would hear it on an ad, I thought, well, this is crazy. When the Democrats come out and paint every Republican as pro-life, no exception, no, you don't allow any form of abortion, from rape to incest to anything, and the Republicans didn't seem to stand up for those that do allow some of those exceptions. That obviously, I think, played a larger role than anybody expected. And this crazy ass notion that Biden even complained about or brought to our attention just before the midterms, and it had been through the entire process on some of the ads out there, that somehow, and I'm assuming with some of the independents, this losing our democracy and the January 6th issues with Trump, that somehow they made it resonate that the Republicans are going to change our entire system. That it's so crazy. I gave it no credibility at all, but some of the exit polling has that up there much higher than what I would ever even dreamed of. I think most Republicans just brushed it off as being ridiculous. And it concerns me, and especially here in Illinois, and Ryan, I'm sure you haven't heard some of those ads, but I hear them when I'm in Indiana, Iowa, it doesn't matter. But Pritzker's ads are so they're not accurate by any means, and so strong on what he puts out there. Again, I write it off as crazy and don't listen to it, but I'm afraid we have a voting populace, maybe gullible. I probably should be careful how I word this. Gullible, ignorant, uneducated. Stupid. Yeah. I can't imagine that we could have a worse situation with our incoherent president, the policies that have been changed since he took office, the direction that our country's going in the world order, the complete opening up of the border, the crime that's taking place. I could go on for a very long time. And my concern is that it is so bad right now, yet it doesn't seem to resonate with the voting populace. And if it doesn't resonate right now, Ryan, how will it ever?
The best thing that is going to come out of this election, in my personal opinion, because I don't think these people know how bad this is, because as of now, we are the next morning. We do not have control of the House. Now, do I believe we will get control of the House? We are currently at 200 seats that have been called in the House, and Republicans need 218 for the majority. Here's the issue. The greatest joy I was going to get out of this election was that Nancy Pelosi would go die in a crypt somewhere because she would no longer be speaker. Even if they get the majority, if they don't get it by like 225, 230, she very well may stay as speaker, even though Republicans have the majority, because there were about 10 Republicans that were not up for re-election that voted for Nancy Pelosi to be speaker over Kevin McCarthy last time. How about that?
I missed that. I'm maybe I was aware of it and forgot about it, or I don't know, but I don't hear anybody talking about that at all until you brought it to my attention.
They mentioned it last night, very late. I didn't know about it either. They mentioned it last night. Very late.
I'm telling you right now, if one of those Republicans that was in my district did that, you want to know, I would vote for any and everybody but them.
I don't know. Maybe but in general, Dale, and you know this, Democrats always stick together and Republicans always do not. Now, you have to agree with that.
I agree. Nope, I agree. I just can't imagine when it's at this point of seriousness that any of the Republicans, that they would be very ignorant to break.
But the other problem is I see no path for them to take back the Senate at this point right now.
No, at best, I'm at 50-50.
Right. And then Camel Toe is still the tiebreaker.
Doesn't change.
So nothing changes. So the only good that I see coming out of this election whatsoever is now, how do the Democrats go and tell Biden he is unelectable and cannot run?
That this is true. And Biden's going to come out and do a victory lap here. Very soon.
Huge one.
Yes. And I don't know that it's true victory, but relative to what we thought it was going to be, sure.
There was not even a red ripple. They're talking about red tsunami, red wave. There was not even a red ripple here. So the only good I see coming out of this is I Google searched sometime last week, has an incumbent president never not ran for office? And I could not find where one of them did not run for re-election. Now, I may be wrong, and maybe I didn't look good enough. So I thought that the only way they could get Biden to do this was if they just got their ass kicked in the midterms and they're like, dude, you're not electable. Now they can't make that case.
I sure hope he runs.
How do you make that case now? Because the midterms are normally a referendum on the sitting president. Biden is going to get out losing less seats than any other president, maybe in history.
And that's how screwed up this voting populace is.
Exactly.
Right,
but yet 80% of America thinks the country's going the wrong way. There's like 70% that think that the future will be worse than the past. I mean, all of these numbers, and yet they still did not vote for change. I want to say that it's Republicans pick very bad candidates. And again, I think in a lot of races they did. Oz, for example, this man lost to a person that cannot speak. Literally cannot make coherent sentences because he's had a stroke. But before he had a stroke, he literally held a man at gunpoint. He's done all these other things. He was a terrible candidate to begin with. Oz is the worst candidate and gets beat, and for two main reasons. Number one, he moved to Pennsylvania to run for office. Why would they ever say, "Ooh, do this"? And number two, I say this again, you can't kill puppies. You can't. You can't kill puppies.
I'm sure that can't.
I don't care what you say. You can't kill puppies. You can't.
Do we have proof
I
that he
don't care
did?
if it's there to cure cancer. You can't kill puppies. That's all there is to it. I'm done with that. But then I look, and so he's a terrible candidate, and he loses. Okay. On the flip side, Carrie Lake is probably one of the most impressive candidates I have seen in my life. She is sharp. She is articulate. She is successful. She is all these things. She is no nonsense, all this stuff, etc. And she may not win the governorship of Arizona, which that state is on the border, has had more problems than even Texas in terms of fentanyl, drugs, crime, all this other stuff. And she may not win. And that is literally probably the most impressive candidate to watch her do her stump, interviews, all this stuff that I may have ever seen in my lifetime. And yet she may not win.
It's really close, and I hope she does. But
so I want to say it's because they picked bad candidates, but not all the candidates were bad.
Nope, I agree.
So and people are going to get mad. I'm going to say it anyway. It all goes back to Trump. It just does. It's the only thing that I can come up with.
Because of voting against Trump.
Yes.
And the Democrats brought that up. They tried to put that impression in there that, hey, you're basically voting for or against Trump.
The democracy on the ballot, all that. They blame Roe versus Wade. They're blaming Trump for that because he got more justices on the Supreme Court, all this other stuff. This all goes back to Trump. And I don't know how we are still voting against him, but they are. And that's the only rational thing I can come up with.
So what do you think of Trump nicknaming DeSantis already?
I think that when he came out with the Ron DeSanctimonious last week, that signaled to me that Trump was going to run again and that DeSantis had not agreed to not run against him. Ron DeSantis had an absolutely incredible victory in Florida last night. He turned counties like Miami-Dade and I can't remember the other one that haven't been Republican in 20 since a Bush ran. I think he had an amazing victory, and that is good. And he has been a very good governor. If you will notice, and Abbott started before DeSantis. Well, Abbott's not getting enough credit because Abbott opened Texas before DeSantis did. Abbott sent the border immigrants to different parts of the country before DeSantis did. He just kind of piggybacked on all the thing Abbott did. But point is, the governors that opened up their states early during Rona, did these things, whatever, they won convincingly. Now, Abbott did not win as convincingly as DeSantis. DeSantis is going to win by 20 points. Here's the problem. I don't know if anybody watched DeSantis's victory speech. I did. And I think that nickname, Sanctimonious, is very telling because I have never heard a man, including Trump, who likes to brag on himself a lot. That's why Dale doesn't like him, because he brags on himself too much. I have never heard a man say "I" more in a speech in my life. I did this. 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 Okay, sir. Yes, you are the governor, and you're a very good governor. But a governor, just like a president, can't do anything alone. Why politicians, including Trump, do not understand we need to say "we" instead of I do not get it.
I agree with that, and I'm a pretty big fan of DeSantis. And if, just to be clear, if I thought Trump could get through the general election and win, or if I could dictate and put somebody in the White House, because I know exactly where his policies are, and I agree with more of those, and he's going to stand up for every single one of them.
Trump
I put him in there.
Is probably going to be the best president in my lifetime, and I agree with what you're saying. I think Trump would be a far better president than DeSantis will be. I do not think he is electable in the general election.
No,
but
and I don't think you can
that's
beat
going
him,
to keep him from running.
and I don't know that you can
think that's
beat him
going
in
to
the
keep
primary.
him from winning the primary.
Yeah, so it's
Like
definitely a
all the
problem.
polls, like even a poll last week, 71% of Republicans choose Trump as the nominee to 20% DeSantis.
I think that gap will narrow, but I don't think he'll ever
50
switch.
points, Dale.
It'll never flip. No, I know. I think it'll be less than that at some point, but it won't flip. And I think DeSantis will do fine in the White House, but I know exactly what Trump will do in the White House. But I also know I am fairly confident he cannot win, and that's bothering me. I did notice something else last night that nobody's really talking about. It seems like the swing states are all still tight races for the most part, unless you consider Florida a swing state now, and I think it's bounced into the red category fairly strong. But the real strong blue states, except for maybe Illinois, and even Illinois, um, they're not going to flip anytime soon from blue to red. But there was less of a gap between the blue and the red. So from a populist vote, and I have no idea what these numbers are, I'm going to say that the Republicans may have done better than usual, even though they're still getting beat in all those deep blue states. They're much closer than I ever remember them being before. It does nothing for them in the midterm elections whatsoever. I mean, still is what it is. May do nothing in the general elections, but the proportion of people in those blue states that are coming out and trying to vote against the Democrats have stepped up considerably. So I feel good about that. Again, I don't know if it'll ever translate to anything that's going to help us in those elections, but can be hopeful.
I have never. It's just baffling to me. All of the polling data, even the exit polling data, says that this country is crying out for a change. If you would have listened to the Democrats before the polls closed, they literally were saying everything other than they are fixing to get killed. All the exit polling data swings that way, but the votes do not.
Yeah, and I think there's the thing that they were talking about on the abortion, on the exit polling. I'm going to guess, kind of like a lot of Republicans don't want to answer those polls. A lot of people maybe don't want to talk about that a whole lot prior, so maybe that didn't factor into those pre-election polls a little bit. So I don't know. I was shocked when, and maybe it's not accurate, but the polls that came out that just talked about the threat to our democracy and abortion being so high up there, but apparently something was. So I'm concerned about the intelligence of the voting populace. Period. It deeply concerns me.
I mean, it's either their intelligence or they're not informed or something. But the thing is, there's no reason if you're going to stop and take an exit poll after you voted to not be completely honest. Do you agree with that?
I would agree. I can see a lot of people not wanting to stop.
Right. I agree. I wouldn't stop. I would not. Yeah. But if you're going to stop and take an exit poll, you voted already, whatever. There's no, I mean, why would you lie about things? All of the exit polling says what we talk about, that the country's not in the right, inflation's too high, economy sucks, gas price, all these things were there, and yet the votes are not that way. So explain that to me, sir.
I do not understand.
I don't either.
A skewed sample.
So they're all skewed?
I don't know. Well, obviously, if that was the case, they would have voted differently. If those exit polls that you were listening to, if those were accurate, the vote would have been different. So I just, for some reason, whoever decided to stop or not stop maybe had enough of an impact that it just didn't match the true election.
And now, and so
I think we better end it.
No, I'll end with this. So Trump is supposed to come out Tuesday and announce his plans for what he's going to do in 2024.
We know what that is.
I think where the man messed up, I'm just going to be real honest. And if you, again, I don't know who he's listening to, if he listens to anybody, whatever. All the polls were saying that this was going to be a very good night for Republicans. So I think he got a little anxious and giddy and put that out there. And now, does anybody with a rational brain cell functioning think he's going to come out on Tuesday and say, I'm not running for president? No.
Something drastic would have to happen between now and then.
Something drastic did happen, Dale, last night.
Saying that something drastic again will have to happen. It won't. But and that I don't know what that
it would have just never said anything. Then he could have looked at this. But now that it's already out there, I just don't see there's any way that he's not going to do this. And it's going to be a very, very long 2 years for me.
Well, let's hope that by the time this podcast drops on Friday, that maybe some of those close races we get a little lucky and they fall our direction. But I still believe at best we're looking at capturing the House and in a 50-50 in the Senate. And
okay,
maybe it'll change. But
wait, there's only Dale. We're going to win the House. I'm very confident. I don't know what the margin will be. Probably not near. It will not be enough.
Not as much as predicted.
And it won't be enough to really hammer the Dems on things because. But
I do think we're not mentioning one thing. If they do, and I believe they will capture the House, not by as big of a margin as what Ryan would like or any of us would like. But if they stick together, and I think under this situation,
that's the problem. Republicans do not stick together.
But if they do, at least it puts Biden into a situation where he can't get anything done.
I agree with that.
That is a huge accomplishment. Yes, and if they don't stick together, I think we better send a very strong message to them somehow.
I think they're going to win the House. I hope they stick together on the voting, especially getting Pelosi out. But anyway, on the Senate. So Masters, Arizona is not looking good. It's like 5 points. And I mean, granted, there's only like less than 70% counted, but it's not looking good in Arizona. Now, Wisconsin looks like you're going to hold on to Wisconsin. Nevada is looking good for LaSalle or whatever his damn name is, but that gets you to 50. You lose Arizona, which it's looking like that gets them to 49. Then it all goes back to Georgia.
And do you think, I didn't look here recently, but I'm assuming he was at 49 point. They're both at close to 49% or a little better. I think Herschel's a little behind.
Herschel is behind. It's like 33,000 votes that he's behind. But see, and I heard it two different ways last night, and I don't know. I didn't look it up. So I thought if nobody got 50%, it was an automatic runoff in Georgia. Last night I heard if it was in 0.5, if the percentages were within 0.5, but I don't know. I'm assuming because they've been talking about it, that they are all thinking that Georgia will be a runoff situation. So we won't know till December. But we didn't do real well in the runoffs into Georgia's the last time in the Senate races. If you remember, we lost them both. And there is a libertarian candidate that is taking 2%, a little more than 2% of the vote in Georgia. But I don't see those people turning out in a runoff.
Yeah, that determines it, period. I have no idea.
They're going to come turn out?
I don't know.
And who is he going to back?
Obviously, if they voted Libertarian, they were not very high on Herschel.
You think?
And I'm not saying that they're going to vote at all, but I'm with you that it's going to be a struggle.
So again, you're at 50-50 and Camel Toe's the tiebreaker, and we're
and I don't know if Nevada's a lock. I mean, it looking better all the time, but I'm still a little bit nervous there. So then they either have to win Nevada or obviously Georgia, but
to win there's 4 left to win a majority. You got to win 3 of the 4.
Yes, I'm saying just to stay at 50-50, they got to win one of those 2. So it's just
you got to, if you win Wisconsin and you win Nevada, which you're in the lead in right now, then you're 50-50. Wisconsin has not been called.
No, and I was worried that we would not win one of those, and initially it was Nevada, but I'm sure hoping that it all goes that way, and maybe we'll just get dumb lucky in Georgia, but it's going to take too much. So. The other thing, and we're going terribly long. The other thing, did you notice? And you made the comment, those governors that didn't shut down over COVID really did well.
Very well.
And I agree completely. Then why is Michigan? Didn't that governor retain her seat? That was such a crazy,
convincingly too. I mean,
COVID lockdown crazy person, and she still wins. I don't understand.
Detroit. That is it. Yep. Detroit. Kind of like
Chicago.
You're Chicago.
Yep. It just dominated again to an unbelievable level. It's embarrassing. Okay, we're gonna move on because we're way long, but I'm sure we'll talk about this next week as we get some of the more official results in. Ryan, do you have any BTR JLA?
I have a top 10 that I was going to read off. Going to do top 10 junior goat. First place, Reagan Rogers, Gilbert, Arizona. Second place, Paisley Carlson, Orland, California. Third place, Harley Oswood, Burlington, West Virginia. Fourth place, Addison Sharp, Eagle Mountain, Utah. Fifth place, Braylon Miller, Marion, Ohio. Sixth place, Caitlin Hewitt, Reidsville, North Carolina. Seventh place, Cabal Knots. I think that name is wrong, but Phillips, West Virginia. Reagan Arney, Avon, Indiana. Eli Baker, Buchanan, West Virginia is ninth. And rounding out the top 10 in junior goats this week is Tori Brinks of Fredericksburg, Iowa. Again, we're in November. Lots of shows to happen in December. Of course, Arizona National is coming up. Louisville's coming up. Both those shows are double points. So there's lots of room left for things to change. But if you want to be a member for 2023, please go and sign up. Sanctioned shows for 2023. Please go online, sanction your show. Again, it's just a $50 fee per species this year. Also, I am reaching out to many of the 2022 sponsors. Most of them that I have reached out to have very graciously accepted and going to be back sponsoring in 2023. If you are interested in being a national sponsor for awards, jackets, a regional sponsor for species, please contact me. But anyway, that's where we're at on the BTRJLA of it all for this week.
Excellent. Hopefully that we still keep pushing and those points continue to move a little bit as we get into Louisville, and I'm sure there's a few jackpots out there, and then especially into Phoenix. Looking forward to both of those shows. With that, I want to thank ShowFresh H2O. Increase water consumption, increase success in the ring. Backed by science, made in America. Available at local show supply trailers and swampfox.com. Thank you, ShowFresh H2O. And we discussed a few weeks ago, Ryan, that we were going to allow shows to help sponsor these episodes and promote their shows. And I want to thank the Badger Brawl is our first one that has contacted us to do such. They are holding a show December 2nd through the 4th in the Alliant Energy Center, Madison, Wisconsin. Multiple opportunities for kids to get in the ring. They have Wisconsin exhibitor only show Friday, showmanship Friday, 2 rings of heifer Saturday, and 2 rings of steers on Sunday. Impressive lineup of judges from across the country, including Texas, South Dakota, Indiana, Iowa, Ohio, and Oklahoma. Alliant Energy Center is a beautiful facility designed for showing year-round. Heated show ring, vendor expo space, everyone stalls inside. Bark bedding is provided, included in the entry fees. Only 5 head needed for breed division. Around 750 head were shown last year. All entry, installing contact information is available on their website. Find us on Facebook at Badger Brawl. Website again is badgerbrawl.com. Walton Webcasting will be broadcasting on Saturday and Sunday. If you have any questions, reach out to Badger Brawl, and they are happy to accommodate. Thank you very much. Again, December 2nd and 4th, Madison, Wisconsin, Badger Brawl. Ryan, it is time for the main topic. And I don't know that you and I are the most qualified for this. At least I'm not, because I'm not a very technologically advanced person. But show ring technology, where is it at? How has it changed things? And I think it's made things easier. Period. And there's one thing that I want you to address very early on this one, because the first time I noticed it, and you could tell us when this was, I was kind of shocked. But we go to the Texas majors. I think it was Houston, or I noticed it first. These kiosk machines all around the show cattle, show sheep, show hog area, whatever it may be. And I'm thinking, what are these for? Brian or Ryan, please explain.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to explain.
Well, I don't know when that started, but I don't see that anywhere else in the country.
They don't do it at Kansas City, Louisville, all those places?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't know.
You're not even aware of this. I didn't even know what they were when I got to Houston, and this was a while ago, I think. But
we've had them for at least 5 years, I think.
Yeah,
5 or 6. So, at least 5. But anyway, maybe longer than that.
All your check-in, all your everything you need to do normally through a line or something.
Yeah, you just go to this kiosk and you type in your thing. You type in your weight, your validation tag number, what breed you want to be, all this other stuff, and it prints you out a little card and you're good to go.
I think it's brilliant. I don't know if it was met with resistance at first, but I would assume
we all very much like it.
Yeah, you're not having to wait in those long lines. I mean, think about, I know at Kansas City the line gets long sometimes, and all the major shows.
I really had no idea that like the other shows did not do that.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I am pretty confident I've not seen that outside of the state of Texas. I'm sure there's some shows somewhere that are using it, but I'm unaware of it. Completely unaware of it. The other thing that's I personally like, and I don't know that I did at first, and I still am capable of stirring entries up on a regular basis, but I believe it's ShowWorks, one of our online entry or any of the online entry processes. I think it's made fairly simple, especially after you get through it once. My problem that I have is I get distracted right there at the end and maybe never finish all the way through, and I don't realize it until it's getting very close to the deadline. I have to go back and redo it, and occasionally just totally miss it. But I think that is a push in the absolute right direction. No question.
I don't know about ShowWorks, but I know Showman app that is a sponsor of the BTRJLA.
Yes,
they do it. You enter online, and it's, I think, like over on close to I don't even know how many shows this year, but like well into the over 1,000, I think. But yeah, online entry is becoming the thing. Like there are very few shows now, even jackpot shows, that don't have some form. Not saying you can't enter once you get there, late entry, but almost all of them have an online entry type system now. And it's thanks to apps like the Showman app, stuff like that. That it's just making much easier.
Much more organized and simpler all the way around, I think, for the exhibitor and the show management. And I have seen huge switch over to the online entries that, like Brian said, even the jackpot shows probably the last pretty much since COVID. And I can't imagine it won't continue to grow. I don't know about, and I only place we would ever enter, and we haven't even shown there for a while. I'm not sure. Is it breaking into the county fairs? I assume it is.
Oh yeah,
I'm unaware.
A lot of county fair, and again, not saying there's definitely ShowWorks, Showman app, whatever. There's definitely several ones, but a lot of county fairs are using an online entry system as well.
And are they able to get you results to the BTJRLA through that, or no?
That doesn't have no,
nothing to do with the end result.
No.
Well, maybe we should request that become a part of it, where they can go back into that as a show manager and input the stuff, and boom, it goes. But I think you've made it simple enough. Just any way you want to get it to the BTRJLA is acceptable.
Right.
Excellent. What other directions are you seeing in the show ring, Ryan, in terms of technology?
Well, you talked about the kiosk system that I guess is only used in Texas, but
you truly weren't, and maybe I know I'm 90% correct on this. It's interesting to me that I don't think we've ever talked about it on here. So I think a lot of people that haven't been to the Texas majors are unaware of that. And I think a lot of people in Texas that maybe aren't getting out to some of the other national shows don't realize that it doesn't exist out there.
I go to all the national shows, but I don't have anybody showing at them, so I'm not. And I'm not involved in making sure your stuff gets entered at them anymore. So yeah, I didn't know. But you were talking about online entries. Well, I think one of the really cool things that I've seen happening a lot at jackpot shows and stuff here lately is whether it's an app or that you sign up for, or a lot of shows just have you sign up for text messages and they send out information about what class is in the ring, what class needs to come to the makeup ring, all of that stuff. And I can't tell you how many times that I'm judging a show that somebody will say, well, we can't hear the announcements in the back or all this other stuff. So if you do have those text messages coming through, then that gives you another way to make sure that you get to the ring on time.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be very upfront. It is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when I'm waiting for 5-10 minutes for that next class because we're missing a couple showmen. And it may not even be their fault because they didn't hear it or whatever it may be. But wow, think about all the jackpot shows now that were showing off the trailer and how challenging it is to have somebody at the ring or running back and forth to find out where they're at because you're not going to hear them over the microphone. I think every show out there needs to implement some form of text messaging for that.
Period. Yeah. It's only as good as the people that will use it. So you have to sign up for the text messages. But if you have it available to those exhibitors, I do not understand why you would not at all. That makes no sense to me. Kind of like the election results. But I think that it is something that is very helpful because, again, and it does not matter how good your PA system is. People, and I am as guilty as this as anybody when I'm not actually in the ring judging a show. People are glued to their phones, and so they will definitely see a text message more likely than they will hear the announcer say, Class 3 Angus, please come to the make ready ring.
I would have to say, and I don't know if there was a change in the microphone system or what it was at Kansas City this year, but they were announcing things, and it was pretty clear if you were paying any attention at all. So there's some situations maybe and I'm sure they had some form of text messaging, but there are some situations where that microphone system and speaker system is good enough to work, but it just seems so logical to do the text messaging and make sure that everybody's getting those. So that is a huge, huge plus. What about almost every show, Ryan, of at a state fair level or higher? I'm going to say they're bringing in somebody to do a video feed, whether it be on Facebook or one of the companies that does that for a living. And speaking of that, I noticed one last year that was much different than just that video camera perched in one spot, and you can kind of see the livestock when they're in one part of the ring and not really at the other, and not always ideal. But you were with me? I'm sure we talked about this. And I don't even know what name of it is. So I'm not trying to give anybody free advertising.
But I'm not going to call it out on this podcast because I think you will be very unhappy if I do.
Yes, well, I'm just saying they did a nice job in San Antonio. I believe it was the good.
Oh, San Antonio. I tell you what, and I was there, and I put this up on Facebook as well. I was there at the show, and I'm trying to remember what that company's name is right now.
It was, I would rather, I could watch that as well or better and be able to evaluate those animals than being right there in person.
I mean, literally the feed was as good as being there ringside.
It was amazing.
It was just absolutely incredible.
Now, if all of them progress to something like that, I think this thing is going to, I mean, I don't know that numbers are that great watching those live feeds, but it's very useful to me. And I'm sure a lot of others appreciate it. But if it gets to that level across the board, oh my gosh, I worry people won't show up to shows as much to watch because they just stay home and get a great view of it.
Yeah, but that's not taken away from. I mean, I think every show that puts on some type of live feed is very beneficial to. And again, it's another thing that we use in the back. Like I can't tell you at Houston this year, the live feed. We sat at our stalls, and somebody in our group had the live feed going up all the time, so we knew what class was in there when it was time, getting close for us to show. And so I think all live feeds, web stream, whatever, are very beneficial, so you can tune in and say, okay, so this is Beefmaster Class 6 or whatever, that you need to look at. But that deal at San Antonio was just absolutely amazing, and I am so sorry I cannot think of the company that did that right now, and it'll come to me, or I'll look it up and make sure to give them a shout out next week. But it was just incredible. Those companies charge, and that's how they make a living, and all that stuff, and that's cool. But I know a lot of jackpot shows that just have somebody using their phone and doing a Facebook Live, and that's perfectly fine too. I mean, cheap, economical, etc. And I mean, granted, the quality's not going to be as good, but for grandma that can't go, she can at least watch. I mean, mom who had to stay at home and work, even if it's just a Facebook Live, they can still watch.
I encourage those even those show managers at the jackpot shows, just ask somebody if they're willing to do it, or one of their members is willing to do, because I appreciate that so much. And I don't know how to personally do it, but I don't think it's probably that complicated. And it gives more publicity to those kids and more recognition to those kids, more publicity for the show, just a wide variety of reasons to do it. So I encourage any of those shows out there, heck, even a county fair. If you have somebody willing to do that, jump right on it and let those at home see what's going on. It's appreciated when I notice it's not being covered by somebody else, and all of a sudden you hear that somebody popped up that they're doing a Facebook Live. I'm on it usually, and it's good, really, really good. And so I appreciate those things.
Again, I think any way to make it more accessible for your show to get more promotion, whether it's live stream, Facebook Live, anything like that, that's going to be positive. But also, I think it is good because we all know, and just like the thing that we talked about last week, time management, all this other stuff, not everybody that wants to be able to watch that kid's show is probably going to get to make it to every show. And so if there is a way for them to watch either Facebook, live stream, whatever, I just think that's a real positive type deal. Another thing, and I think this gets overlooked, but to be honest with you, in the last 10 or so years, and I know that's a long time frame, but I can vividly remember not too long ago when we didn't have pictures online that you could go and look at the proofs and click which one you want and buy it and download all that stuff. And that wasn't that long ago in all actuality. I think that the photographers that are livestock photographers are doing such a great job at all levels of shows, whether it is jackpot to, national major shows, getting those pictures up, all this other stuff, making them accessible, getting them to be able to download almost immediately within hours after the show. I think that's really cool, and I think it's very helpful. I am going to get on my soapbox just for 1 minute here, and not about the election. Most of those photographers grew up in this deal, and they have a passion for photography, whatever, all this other stuff. You people that screenshot those damn pictures and then post them all over Facebook with the watermarks and not buying them, I don't think you know how angry you make me. Like, that is just so disrespectful, and it's actually theft, if you want to get down to it.
It is. There's nothing short of that. And you've been on the soapbox before, and I don't know if it's helping or not. I hope so.
I don't think it is. I do not think it is, but I really don't understand if you can take the time to go there and to look at the picture. It's going to take you an additional 3 minutes to click it, put it in the cart, and buy it. And you just can't do that. Why? Tell me why.
I don't know.
It just lit. And there are people that will make that their Facebook profile picture, I just die. I die. Like, oh, it makes me angry. I tell almost every photographer at every show that I judge that I do not have the patience. I do not have anything. I don't know how they do this because, either they are there, they're all there in an official capacity, whether they've been hired to be there, whether they've been asked to be there by the show, etc. And they're trying to get a high quality backdrop photo. And here is 9 other people standing in front of the photographer with their cell phones. Most of these photographers are fine with you taking a cell phone picture at the backdrop. Let that photographer do their job first. It just drives me crazy.
I agree completely, and I appreciate all that. Think about those photographers that are out in that ring all day, and then at the back. Those are long days.
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
their
Again, I can remember when we didn't have ring shots, Dale. It wasn't that long ago.
Yep. And I think those are awesome. I like those as much as some of the backdrops.
Of course.
Or more sometimes. Those are good. Really, really good.
But my heart goes out to all you photographers. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all have the patience of Job, and people do not treat y'all with the respect that you deserve. But I do think that we have made great strides in, having those pictures up there as quick as possible. I mean, there's some shows that the show is not even over, but pictures from that morning are up already. And so that is another example of show ring technology that has come very long ways in just a few short years. And so that is really, really, really cool, in my opinion.
And Ryan, you would know the answer to this better than I, but even things like the Pulse, getting things out there immediately, or how long they've been doing that, I couldn't tell you when did that start.
Oh, I don't know when the Pulse started, but it's been a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, just when I go back, obviously before that, you can get access, whether it's a Facebook Live, one of the live streams, a Pulse, you can get to see those animals from a lot of shows across the country because of where we're at right now. Where before you'd wait for a publication or to see it in one of the magazines. It's changed the whole dynamic.
And most of the publications were just every month, so it'd be at least a month or two after the show, etc. Now you find out the day of.
Exactly, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Anything else on technology?
I don't know.
I'm running low here, but
imagine that. You're always running low.
But I am. I do want to mention that by the time this drops, there's going to be lots of people en route, and already probably are en route to Louisville. Hopefully
Louisville is going on, sir. The hog show has already happened. The dairy show has happened. People have already been to Louisville.
And the lamb people are going that direction.
Cattle, sheep, and goats.
All of them. Well, we wish everybody the best of luck down there, and hopefully everything goes extremely well. It's one that I look forward to every year. And Ryan, I didn't think about it this way, and you're probably already aware of this, but I will have 3 of my 4 children actually participating in Louisville in some form this year. And that's a little unusual. Usually I have probably two kids showing, or I'm going to get probably a little emotional about it. Especially
I'm not going to Louisville anymore if Dale's going to cry. I'm sorry. I was going to go. Can't go anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to go hang out with Dylan in Chicago and not get shot, since he's the only child that is a humble child not participating in some form or fashion. Dylan, I'm coming to your house. I don't want to be around Dale emotional.
No, and I will be especially with Chase. This is the first time. I mean, he's shown a little bit for us at national shows, but we've talked about that's not his thing. But he's going to be in the Skillathon contest, and so looking forward to that. And Katie will be showing a couple goats, and I guess this will conclude Tara's collegiate judging. So it's going to hit me a little bit. So you just be ready for it. I'll cry on your shoulder.
No, I might have a fur on. I don't need tears. No.
Are you going to bring that fur this year?
I do have the pink fur with me. I do.
Now,
I had it last year. It was too hot.
You can't wear it more than one time.
I can wear the pink fur as much as I want to. It was too hot in Louisville last year to wear fur. It may not be this year. I haven't checked the weather.
I'm going to say right now we're cold enough.
One thing on current events that I forgot to mention that has nothing to do with the election. So yesterday, I want to give a shout out to Cattlemen's Congress, because yesterday they announced not only is the Supreme Champion Junior Female and the Haired and the American side, they're both going to receive a $2,500 scholarship, which that is very, very cool. Again, I think scholarships at these deals are awesome. Any show that gives them, and there are several, that is way, way cool. So thank you for that, especially on the junior side. I want to highlight something that they're doing that I don't know of any other show has ever done. Have you heard about this, Dale?
I have not.
Of course you haven't, because you were sleeping all day yesterday. But in the open show, now there's lots of shows that have open shows, but they don't give a lot of cool stuff away normally. I mean, you get the banners and red, but not like cool stuff. Like, this is cool. So if you are the Supreme Champion, Haired Female, American Female, Haired Bull, or American Bull, those four winners, they're going to go into a drawing, and they're going to pull out the first one, and the first person of those four is going to drive away in a 2022 Ford F-250 truck, year-long lease. Is that not cool?
That's pretty good.
And the second one, they're going to draw another one from the other three, and they're going to get a year-long lease on a John Deere Gator.
Okay.
I don't know any other show that
aware.
has put cool stuff out there for like the open show exhibitors. And again, especially during Rona and stuff like that, open shows kind of took it the worst of anybody. I mean, they got shut down more than anybody. So I think that is way cool of Cattlemen's Congress to do something unique and special for the open show exhibitors. So good job to you. Oh, and Stitt won governor, by the way.
Oh, I was gonna. I was, but it should not have been that close. Did you hear what the situation?
It really wasn't close in the end.
Did you hear what the situation was with his opponent?
No, I just didn't want her to win.
I believe it was a female, wasn't it?
Yes.
She was a Republican up until she decided to run against this governor. She jumped ship and went to the Democrat Party. So, yeah, it had never been. I mean, pretty conservative. And then all of a sudden jumped ship, and that in itself would anger me enough to just avoid her with every chance I got. But well, good. Well, that's good, because he, as you stated, he's very OYE friendly, and I think
and Cattlemen's Congress and just ag in general.
Yep, it's very, very good. Well, you know what it is time for now.
No,
I don't. Maybe I don't. I can't find my.
I think you were asleep all day yesterday, so we don't have question and answers. So see y'all next week. Bye. Bye. Thank y'all for listening. Bye now.
I have.
Damn it.
Joe.
Of course, that's the one thing you did yesterday. You did nothing else, but you did do that.
Oh my! If you only knew.
Mm-hmm.
Questions for.
Didn't watch the election results. I promise you that much shit. That's what you didn't do.
Question for both of you. We're going to Louisville for the first time. What is something that we have to go see, or what is the best or most iconic part of the North American experience?
The green shavings, period. They're being. That's it. Just the green shavings.
And there's a very strong second.
You're going to say the freaking duck slide.
Yep, and the petting zoo. The duck slide and the petting zoo. But it's all a good experience. It's pretty overwhelming for those that have never been there, that we've got so much all under a roof. It's impressive. Make sure to get through all species.
There's a lot of cool things to check out at Louisville. I had to go to the duck slide with Chase last year. I hope he does not make me. Hope he's busy in the skeleton, because as wonderful as it was, I'm good on one and done on the duck slide of it all.
It's great.
I am good on the one and done of the duck slide of it all. Thank you, Chase, for that memorable experience last year. But I think Dale really hit the nail on the head. I don't care who you are or what you show, but I will just never forget the first time I ever saw the cattle ring at Louisville. It literally was something like I never seen, and between the green shavings and that Freedom Hall and the organ music, and it just was. I was like, this is it. This is the pinnacle right here. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And so I do think it is something like that. But besides the duck slide and, just the impact that it makes on you, all those portraits of the saddle and sirloin, is it the Hall of Fame people?
The inductees that are
inductees, yeah. I don't know the exact word. Those are things like that are there. And outside of the show, there's cool stuff to do in Louisville. You can go to the racetrack. There's so many things that aren't directly affiliated with the show that are iconic that you can go and see and do while you're there. It's just, for me, there is nothing better than Louisville. Just period. Paragraph.
So you brought up the saddle.
I am very biased. Very biased.
If you look into the history there, just a little bit of that show and how it actually, the International began up in Chicago at the stockyards and was there for many years until it eventually kind of was shutting down there. So in essence, moved to Louisville. But that history and a lot of the good things that were at the Chicago International now have been carried on down to the North American in Louisville. And it's just good. It's a highlight for me every year. No question. So I hope Jolyn, I hope you enjoy your visit. I'm positive after you've gotten there once, you're going to go back as often as you can. Next question comes from Carol. Ryan, I cannot help you on this one at all.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
I hate to bother you. I think she's referring to you, Ryan.
Imagine that.
But yesterday was such a long day. In no time after the show, we were wondering if you could get some clarification on what you meant about our daughter steer not being fresh enough. We realized he was the heaviest steer in the entire show by several 100 pounds, but he actually has very little finish. Do you happen to have any pointers on how to freshen him up some? He's only 19 months old, so he has a few shows left in him, being a Brangus cross with an Angus bull out of War Alliance. His sire has his own custom-made chute that is 46 inches wide that he still barely fits through. I suppose that's where he gets his size from. Also, being Brangus, he has no hair to cover up any flaws he may have. So I think she's wanting guidance on how to freshen that steer up. Do you remember this steer? I think this came in a few days ago.
What show was this from?
It came in a few days ago.
You know how many shows I've judged in the last week, sir?
I don't. When's the last cattle show you've judged?
I judged one this past weekend.
That would be it, probably. In Texas, I'm assuming.
Okay. I don't there was only 400 entries in that show, by the way. But
this was the largest steer there, the heaviest by several 100 pounds.
I do remember one black steer that was very large, and I think I commented on his freshness because, anyway, to answer this question in general, because I don't know if that is the exact animal or not, because again, she did not say what show. I don't know, but trying to freshen up an animal in general is not easy by any stretch, and I think it's the hardest in cattle of all of the species. Would you not agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. She said something about he is young and doesn't have much finish. That really doesn't matter. If the animal doesn't look fresh, it doesn't matter how old it is or how much finish it's just a thing that, like, there are some 18-year-olds that look 30 and there are some 30-year-olds that look 12. It's just like humans.
Yes, and I think, and I can insert a little bit here, I think there's a lot of interpretation of fresh that different people have different ideas on what it means. And I'm going to say in a steer, and this one's obviously slick, so hair coat is not going to be as much of a factor, being fresh and looking the part. But I think having enough finish on them so they're not bare ribbed and look a little wrung out and so forth. But if it's already several 100 pounds heavier than the rest of the show, you don't have a lot of room to feed that thing hard to try to get a little fat on him that may freshen him up. But I have a feeling it's just in this situation, Ryan, when they're talking about it being that heavy, it's just a matter of this is a really big one that's coming in that's a little bare, a little raw. Would that be possible?
No, I mean, if it is the steer from the show in Decatur, then again, I didn't handle any of the steers there. It's a jackpot show. I don't handle steers at a jackpot show. But if it is that calf, again, he just looked too old to me. in terms of his head, his neck, his crest. He was obvious. And again, if it is that calf, I don't know, because no mention of whatever. But in general, I don't think it matters how old they are or how much finish they have. There are just cattle that look too mature, not fresh, not youthful. And it's just like people. Some people look older than they are. And so in terms of trying to change that, I think it's very, very hard to do. Because once you get to that point where like when I say one's not fresh enough in a calf, animal, steer, heifer, whatever, I'll be honest with you, if I'm gonna call it out, I think we're past, especially at a jackpot show, we're probably past the point of no return, in my opinion.
Understood. Makes perfect sense. And don't ever take you an ugly-headed goat. I know what happens to that situation.
Bad things.
You could call them stout-headed, nope. but you would refer
head
to
only a mother can love. Yep.
Don't do it.
And I am a head person. I am not going to lie. I am a head person.
Okay, the next one comes from Amy. I listened to the episode regarding Phil. My question is for Ryan. When using the Keepin' On, I use 2 bottles 2 hours before the show, 2 bottles 30 minutes before the show. If I understand your instruction correctly, is that in 5 gallons of water? Question, can I mix it in smaller amounts of water to drench it?
Whoa.
What is the best way? Or it also says it can be top dressed. So I could put the first 2 bottles in his food. Will he eat it? It's a lot of questions in there.
I never told anybody how to do that, by the way, on that episode.
I thought you said something about you gave it 2 hours before or something. Maybe.
No, I told you what I have done. I didn't, but I also said, and I don't think I said 2 hours either, but
I don't. Anyway, yeah, I'm just giving an example. I don't remember that.
I also said every animal is different, especially with this stuff. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Every animal is very different. In general, I have never fed it. I didn't even know you could feed it. I do not think they would eat it at all. They will not drink it, I promise you. And I don't know what the 5 gallons of water is about, because this is a little bitty bottle of stuff that you fill the bottle up with water and you shake it up and then you drench it. That's how we do it. There's no additional water with it or anything. You literally fill that bottle up with water that has the Kool-Aid substance looking thing in it. You shake it up and you drench them. And again, some animals it takes 1, some animals it takes 3. We normally give 2. But all animal, especially the show steers and heifers, are very different. We normally give 2 and within the hour that you're going to show, because normally I think it's only good for like an hour and a half, maybe. But I do not think they will eat it at all, and never. I don't know where the 5 gallons of water comes in this.
Okay, Ryan, we usually agree on most supplements, and I think this is a good supplement. I've never ever used it, but you're using it to fill the upper rumen, correct?
That triangle.
That triangle.
Pocket.
And somebody sent us and told us what the name was, but
I don't get to list. I don't get to see the messages, sir. So
you can. You have access to all of them. All you got to do is open them.
It fills the pocket. That's what it does.
Fills the pocket. So how? Tell me that. How this little bitty bottle fills something up high? That is the problem.
Why don't you call John Sullivan and ask him? It's his product.
No, I believe it's essential, isn't it? I don't know. Isn't it an essential product, or is it a Sullivan product? Maybe Sullivan carries it.
We buy it at Sullivan's.
Yeah, it's probably, but I believe it's I pulled it up and looked at the ingredients, and it's a near perfect blend if you're wanting to put some vitamins and minerals together, and most importantly, available energy and electrolytes. So I reached out to my pig handling nephew.
I do not care what you say. I do not. And normally I'm with you on all things supplement. I am not a supplement whore at all. I do not care what you say, sir. You have never used the product. I have used the product religiously, and I am telling you it does what I say it does.
Ryan, read the ingredients. What in that ingredient would cause upper fill? I don't give a shit what the
ingredients say.
You have minerals, vitamins,
believe in aliens
energy,
and UFOs, sir.
Yes, and there's far more proof that would fill an upper rumen than this.
There's no proof.
So what?
And I'm telling you, I tell you what. I'm getting angry with
this
you
is
now.
going to do something very.
I
good
got a lot
for
of
the animal.
frustration built up over the election. You're going to.
Oh God!
It's going to be very
okay.
bad. I'm telling you, I'm going to take you to a damn show.
I'm not denying that you believe
wrong.
it. I would like
prove you wrong.
I would like to watch it. I reached out to my pig handling nephew, Cade, and said, Cade, what are the pig people using it for? He said, well, never for fill, but they feel that because of the energy in there. I
didn't say in pig. I said in a cow. I know.
I'm just giving you my information, and that
Cade's sucking up to you as usual.
I didn't even say positive or negative. Just asked him. He says that those electrolytes with that glucose being present is going to pull more water into the muscle than just it's a perfect blend to hydrate that muscle as we go into the ring, especially if they're not drinking well or have been held a little bit. I think a huge response. I think you'd see it in cattle as well, probably more in a slick calf than a haired calf because it's got a lot of hair covering up. Same on the goat and lamb people. That I think it's a great product from what I can tell, but I don't know why it would be marketed as a fill product and not a hydration definition type product. That's
I don't know what the hell it's marketed as. I'm telling you what I have used it for.
There's nothing in there that would cause fermentation.
I don't give a shit.
There is
I'm
no
telling you what I use it for, and it works.
There is no reason that you can make something that little fill up a rumen's huge to fill it up enough up high without. If you give it a bottle of 7-Up, I think that'd probably work, or maybe some alfalfa hay or something that's going to ferment real hard. But I'm not denying that
and I'm going to prove you wrong.
I'm willing to watch, and if I'm wrong, I will admit it. And I'm going to
Facebook Live for it.
I have not. Now, if you put a bunch of water in them with, like she's saying, put 5 gallons of water in them, well, then, yeah, maybe you're going to get enough expansion of the rumen, but not just this. And I think they promote it as it's a little bitty amount that won't take you overweight and still give you the fill. You'd say,
and it works.
Fill. Yes, it works. We got to get them as a sponsor because you would get behind this one and ride that to everybody.
Yeah,
I'll reach out.
I am not joking. You
I believe that you feel that way. I'm not arguing that is what you feel and have witnessed. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying I cannot in any manner from a science standpoint come up with how that is possible. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Fauci, you follow the science.
Okay, I think that was that. I have one more, but I think that was 3. Would you like another one just because you're enjoying it?
I do not want another one. I want to go home now. I'm done.
You're in
Alabama. A stressful election. You're arguing with me over nonsense. Oh,
we could talk more election stuff, but I've been checked out on this for
nothing has. Oh wait, well no, now we're up to 201 in the House during this.
Oh, that's
changed.
good.
I don't know what changed because I've been arguing with you, but you're at 200.
I'll take it. I worry that a lot of this left to come in is West Coast, and when you normally think probably a little more blue than red.
Not bode well.
No,
California.
Yeah.
No.
Now, outside of the big cities, I think it's pretty conservative, but I can't imagine there's enough population to make a huge difference.
I'm just telling you, it's very.
Did you see anything about? We talked about maybe Washington.
Oh my God, that is what happened. The Democratic chair Maloney just conceded. He got beat.
Really?
Yes.
That's good.
Now, how does that happen?
I don't know. Remember, I told you there's a lot of gains here in Illinois and other.
The chair Maloney is speaking right now after he conceded. That's the 201. The man who was in charge of getting Democrats reelected in the House just got beat. Oh, geez.
I'm telling you, this is as big of a fluke of a situation as I've ever. God. I can't even wrap my head around it, so I'm just going to surrender.
My head hurts.
Until next week, be safe. Good luck at Louisville.
Y'all come back now, you hear?